welcome to a new video. I'm Cindy Winget, the author of some gothic horror mashups, and welcome to my channel. So this is my October wrap-up, so we're going to be talking about all the books that I read in October, and unfortunately I didn't get to very many, which is very sad because this is my very favorite month of the year for obvious reasons, because I adore Halloween. So I was a little bit disappointed I didn't get to some of the books I wanted to, because I have books that I saved specifically for spooky season, because I think it's going to have autumnal vibes and it's going to have Halloween in it, or it's going to talk about, things associated with the holiday basically. So I saved them for October and I didn't really get to any of them, and so now I have to wait a whole nother year, which I know is stupid. I should just be able to read what books I want no matter what, but I'm a little bit OCD about it these days. So the first two books I'm going to talk about don't happen around Halloween, but they do take place in October, so that's good at least. So the first one is a new release by Dawn Kurtovich, and it's called The Madness. And I absolutely adored this book. I thought it was brilliant. 5 stars, loved it. So if you have not heard of this book or you haven't read this book, I highly suggest you do so. So this is a modern Dracula retelling. So vampires, which is very spooky season appropriate. So this reads like a modern serial killer book, but it has to do with vampires, and I really loved it. So we have the returning characters from Dracula. You have Mina Murray and Jack Seward and, all of the characters from Dracula, but they're all pretty much female. So Van Helsing is Helen Singer, and then Renfield is Renee. So she's switched some of the sexes around, but I just absolutely loved this one. I thought it was so good. And all of the men in this book are despicable, horrible people. But I have so much respect for this author because she actually dedicates this book to her husband. And she says, "For my husband who showed me that there are good men in the world." So I really love that she did that, because I think a lot of times you have these feminist books and they're just very man-hatery, and you can tell the author despises men, and that's just not for me. I just don't believe that all men are terrible, despicable. Obviously, there are terrible and despicable men in the world, but there's also terrible and despicable women too. So I just had a lot of respect for the author doing that. And then there's a quote at the beginning that says, "The world seems full of good men, even if there are monsters in it," by Bram Stoker. So I just really like that she prefaced it, that this is a feminist book and all the men in here are terrible, but I'm glad that she addresses that she doesn't think that everybody is terrible. So I really appreciated that. So anyways, this does have a little bit of vulgarness to it. It's by a British author and they tend to say the C word, which is not a word we really use here in America all that often, and it can be a bit jarring. I think it says it about 3 times, so just be aware of that. And it does have some sexuality in it. It's not super explicit or anything, but it is there. So, these are not good vampires. These aren't Edward Cullen's. So just be aware that there is a little bit of sensuality to this book. But again, it's not super explicit. There's no sex scenes in it. So I just wanted you to be aware that there is a little bit of that in there. Anyways, I am a type of person that doesn't like sex scenes in my books, so I'm just letting you know if you happen to be like me. So this is about Mina Murray, who is our main character, and she receives an email from her friend Lucy Westenra, who was her college best friend, but she hasn't seen her or talked to her in years because they had a bit of a falling out, and so she hasn't talked to her. But she's actually working at a insane asylum with Renee, who is Renfield, and she discovers that Lucy is having similar symptoms to what Renee is having. So she travels from London, where she lives now, to Wales to visit Lucy and see if she can help her in some way. And so they kind of get entangled in this whole big mess of missing girls. So anyways, very good. Highly recommend it. Oh, and I also wanted to say that there's a lot of big words in this book, which I kind of liked because I like learning new words and I like being challenged, and our main character is very smart, and yeah, there's lots of big words let me see if I can remember some of them. There was illimitable, and there's one that was I was trying to remember it for this video, and now I can't remember what it was. It was like Pasqualeable or something. I don't know. Anyways, lots of big words to look up. So if you're kind of a word nerd, then that was kind of fun. And then again, this second one that I read also took place in October, but it wasn't set during Halloween or anything. But it's called The Hitchcock Hotel by Stephanie Roble. And this one, I absolutely love the premise, love the setting. So this is about Alfred, who happens to be obsessed with Alfred Hitchcock, which is kind of funny because he bears his same name. But anyway, so he opens this hotel that in this old Victorian on the hill that looks like the Bates Motel. And so he opens up this hotel and every room has something Hitchcock about it. And he has like the carousel from Strangers on a Train up above the staircase, and he has an aviary full of crows from the birds and just different fun things like that. And so I love that. I love the concept. I love the setting. I just thought it was awesome. I love the setup to the story. So we have a prologue that's from the POV of one of the crows that escaped from the aviary and discovered this dead body. And like, I just thought it was really cool. And then like they set the scene in the first chapter as if it was a film. And so I really enjoyed those aspects. But unfortunately, this book just didn't really work for me. I wanted it to so bad. I was so excited for this. And at the beginning, I was really enjoying it. I really liked the setup. I liked how much character development we were receiving on the characters. And I was excited to, get going into the murder mystery aspects. But the whole middle part was just very slow, very kind of boring. And this book took me over 2 weeks to read, which for me is an eternity. And yes, I had a lot going on this month because it was October and I have a lot of Halloween plans with my family, and we went to St. George for fall break. And I actually had my sister-in-law move in with us from Arkansas. And so I have had a lot going on, which could be part of the reason why it took so long to get through it. But honestly, I think it was the pacing of this book, though. I really think I could have gotten further faster, even with all of that going on, had this been a faster paced book. Which, granted, Hitchcock, he's a slow burn director. Like, all of his movies are very slow burn. So it was very Hitchcockian, in that sense, it held true to the premise. But I don't know, for like a modern reader, I just wanted it to pick up because with a film, yes, it can be slow and meandering, but it's only going to be like a 2-hour movie, so it's not as hard to get through. But with a book, I'm like, okay, you need to pick up the pace a little bit, and I don't know, there wasn't as much action as I was expecting. There wasn't as much murder as I was expecting. So I don't know. I just feel like they give you the backstory to all these characters. Someone dies, they explain it all, and then the end. And it's like, okay, whatever. But I did not guess who the killer was, so that was good. And I really did find that part very interesting. The motivation and the reasoning behind it, I thought it was very interesting, and I really enjoyed that. But that was only like the last 3 chapters of the book. So yeah, unfortunately, this was probably like a 3-star book for me. So I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either. And then I also read a YA slasher called Tastes Like Candy by Ivy Tholen. And this one, I know a lot of people have complained that for a slasher, it takes a while to get to the point, it's setting up the characters and a lot of other things are going on. And it's like, okay, get to the slashing. But I personally didn't mind it because I feel like with a slasher, if you are connected to the characters and you know the characters better, then when bad things happen to them, you're like devastated and gutted and you're more emotionally connected. And so I actually appreciated that the author took the time to let you get to know some of the characters. And so I didn't mind that it took a while to get to the actual slashing part. And I enjoyed the setting because it takes place at a Halloween carnival that is apparently in this town is open all year round, which, I would love that. But anyways, it is just your typical YA slasher, and once the killing actually happened, like the first girl, I really was devastated by because we had just learned some stuff about her and I just felt so bad. But after that, I don't know, I felt a weird disconnect from the story, and I don't know why. I was just like, okay, like stuff's happening, but like I didn't feel the rush, the adrenaline, like I didn't feel scared, and that's what I wanted. And the kill scenes were pretty gruesome, though, like a little bit more gruesome than I was expecting, which for most people is probably a good thing, but I'm a little bit of a wuss when it comes to slashers. I don't like watching like Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Saw or those type of movies because I just don't like that kind of thing. If it gets too gory, if it gets too gruesome, that's just not really my thing. So for me, that wasn't like a wow, that was such a good kill scene. It was kind of like, ew, well, that's gross. But for some of you that love slashers, this would probably be a really good one for you. So I guess I should tell you what this is about. So there's this group of girls that are seniors, and before they go off to college, every senior year they have a scavenger hunt. And so usually it takes place at the school, but this year they have decided to have it at this Halloween carnival in their town, but it's closed. I don't know. I really did enjoy this one. I really did. But like I said, when the actual slashing happened, I don't know. I just felt a little bit disconnected, and I really have no logical reason to feel that way, but I did. So this would probably be about 3.5 stars for me. And then I read Bad Dolls by Rachel Harrison, and this is a group of 4 short stories. I don't even think they're novellas. I think they're short stories. So I don't know if I would really call this a horror anthology, to be honest, because I feel like all of these short stories were mostly like chick lit type stuff with a little bit of horror tossed in there. So if you're looking for something like super scary and creepy, you're not going to find it here. If you want things about toxic female friendships and about being a woman, then this is great. And I really did love the writing. I thought the writing was really good. But I have to say, I didn't really care for the endings to most of these stories. One of them I enjoyed. I thought it was pretty funny, actually. But the rest of the stories, I didn't care for the way it ended. And I was just like, eh. Like, they were good stories, but they just didn't stick the landing. So, I don't know. This is the reason why I'm not big on short story collections, because I feel like for the most part, they never really tend to work for me. But I just wanted to read everything by Rachel Harrison. So, I'm glad I read it. But, yeah, short story collections just aren't really my thing. So, this would probably be about 3 or 3.5 stars. And then I only got to 2 other books, and these were my book club picks. So the first one is The Blonde Dies First. This is for the You'll Read First book club, which I'm a part of on Instagram. And this is a YA kind of slasher, but it's mostly a YA supernatural tale about a demon. So I went into this thinking it was going to be a slasher, and then that's not what I got. But I guess what it really was is this demon would pick you off in the same type of order that a slasher would take place, where the blonde dies first, and then like the jock, and then the whatever, So it was like in slasher order, but it was a demon doing the slayings. So just be aware of that, so you go in with the right expectations. So this one, I unfortunately ended up DNFing. Sometimes YA works really well for me, and then other times I just cannot stand these teenagers. And this is a case where I just could not stand the teenagers. Especially one character, I can't even remember his name, but one of the friends, I could not stand him. Ugh. So yeah, I just couldn't connect to the characters, couldn't get into the story. It wasn't what I thought it was, which normally I enjoy supernatural tales more than slashers, so it should have been a good one, but I don't know, I just couldn't connect. I just couldn't get into the story, and I figured by the time I'm 85 pages in, if I'm still not connected, I'm never going to be connected, and I really didn't want to waste my time during my favorite month of the year, especially where I didn't really get as much reading done as I had hoped in the first place, so I didn't want to waste my time on it. So unfortunately, I ended up DNFing this, so I can't give a rating for it. I hear good things about her first novel, so if you enjoyed her first novel, I think it's like Vicious Games or something. I have it up here. They're Vicious Games. So if you enjoyed Their Vicious Games and you like her writing style already and you know this about yourself, then this one might be a good fit for you. But it just didn't work for me, unfortunately. So Then my last book club pick, which is for my in-person book club, we read Silver in the Blood. So this is also a vampire tale. So if you're aware, there's like a Florescu line in the Dracula bloodline with Dacia and Radu and different things. If you're familiar with that family line, then this is what this novel is about. So I was very glad that this one was picked because my in-person book club, they're not really horror people. So most of the time I get other genres that aren't horror. And so this was like the most horror that it gets with this book club. So I was very eager to read it. And I will say that if you're looking for a vampire tale, I don't know if this would scratch that itch. Because yes, it has a lot of like historical vampire lore in it and stuff. And I really did enjoy this one a lot. But you're not going to get like Dracula from Bram Stoker. You're not going to get, Nosferatu. You're not going to get Salem's Lot. Like it's not that type of story. It's not really horror. It's actually set in the 1800s and it reads more like a romance. What was a little bit annoying though is like there's family secrets, and as the reader you know from the first page it's vampires but they don't know that it's vampires, our two main characters, because we're following two POVs. And so it's a little bit trying because it's like mysterious. There's these family secrets that they won't tell us. Why won't our family tell us why we're here in Romania? And but as the reader, it was like, okay, catch up. We're halfway through the book and you still don't know it's vampires. So that was a little bit annoying after a while, but I really did enjoy the characters and I enjoyed this book. But I was more interested in like, okay, who's our love interest? Because they introduced like a whole bunch of men, and the whole time you're like, okay, who's gonna end up with who, and who's our real love interest? Because it can't be all of them. And so I was more occupied with trying to figure out who our main characters are going to end up with than like the vampire stuff. But I did really like the historical aspects of this book, and I really did enjoy the lore and the characters. So this is a solid 4-star book for me. I really did enjoy it, but I just wanted you to go in with the right expectations that this doesn't read like a horror novel. This reads more like a historical romance. Although it's not even really heavy on the romance either, to be honest. So I guess more just like a historical fiction, or like a friendship between these two girls that go to Romania and then try to figure out the mystery about surrounding their family. So anyway, so if you're into historical fiction, if you like the vampire lore about the Draculas, then I think you would enjoy this one. And then last but not least, we have Haunt Sweet Home, and this is by Sarah Pinsker. And this is just a short little novella, so very quick to get through. But I actually really enjoyed this one a lot. I think the price was too expensive. It was like $27, which for a novella, I just think that's way too much. Even though it is a hardback, I just feel like the price is too high. But that being said, I did enjoy this book and I would give it 4 stars. So this is about a woman who, she's kind of just meandering through life, doesn't know what she wants to do, just hanging out or whatever, and her family are not the most loving or welcoming to her because she's the youngest. And they don't do it on purpose necessarily, but she's the youngest in her family of all of her cousins and siblings and everything, and so she just kind of got left behind. Everybody else has grown up and had their own life and started their careers, and the grandma would carve these chairs for everyone, but by the time she came along, the grandmother was too arthritic to continue that tradition, so she never got a chair. And she's just kind of been an outsider. And so when her cousin pretty much hands her this job, she leaps at the chance to prove to her family that she's not useless or worthless and she can hold down a job and different things. And so she gets this job as, I don't even know what the job title is technically, I guess just an assistant or something, but her cousin has like a paranormal investigative / home renovation show that he does, and so she kind of helps out with that, and she helps create these paranormal experiences because it's all fake, and so they're trying to convince these people that are on the show that their house is haunted, but really it's them just trying to scare them for views. So it's her job to hide the cameras or the speakers that they need, or to hide the fog machine and turn it on at the right moment, or whisper out into the dark orchard or whatever. So that's kind of her job, is helping to create these hauntings for this show. So I really enjoyed that aspect a lot. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed our main character, and I felt sorry for her, and I enjoyed this book a lot. My one issue with this book is it wasn't scary in any way. Like, everything is fake that they're trying to do, and there's really no scare factor. There's not really a whole lot of spookiness to it. So that was a little bit of a bummer. I wanted it to be a little bit more scary or atmospheric. But at the same time, I really did enjoy this one. I liked the storyline, I liked the plot, and I liked the direction that it took. So, like I said, I would give this 4 stars, and I think it's worth a read. So that's all the books that I read in October. I know it wasn't very many, but even if you just read one, that's better than nothing. So anyways, I hope you had a good October. I hope you enjoyed Halloween, and I will see you in the next video. I post every Friday, and if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up to let me know. Please hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so that you'll never miss a video from me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.